The concept of focusing on the intentions of a person's character is something that we see in the legal system around murder in the United States of America. In the USA, it matters. Like first degree murder, you have to have planned and plotted to kill somebody. You have to have organized and orchestrated the situation and been meaning to do it for some period of time, and really kind of been that stealthy murderer that goes after things. That second degree murder has to do that you weren't necessarily intending to go after them. You didn't see them with the intent of killing them, and yet in a moment of passion you did. And somehow second degree murder is seen as less awful than first degree because you didn't set out to kill the person. Or manslaughter, where it's like, well, you meant to hurt him, but you didn't mean to kill him, and so that matters, and so on. So we see ensconced into law here in the USA the idea of the moral agent, or the intention of that agent, the character, being important in this concept of normative ethics. Another one, emphasis on the feature of the choice. The idea is that a moral agent recognizes duties and obligations he or she must follow. And, I think about The Good Place. I think about Chidi talking from the front about, the question is, what do we owe each other? And this idea of duties and obligations is that there are certain things that we are bound to do in our relationship to others, that we owe our parents something, we owe our grandparents something, we owe our friends something, we owe our teachers something, we owe our authority figures something, we owe the other drivers something, and that there are obligations in our life, obligation to pay our taxes, to be good citizens, to be to obey the laws that are around us, to obey traffic laws, etc. And that these duties and these obligations, as long as we are fulfilling them, we are being ethical. Another emphasis is the consequences of the ethical choice, the question of what's going to happen to the people around me and to people across the globe on the basis of my choice. So a great example here are some of the ethical issues surrounding environmentalism, that if my actions are actually actively destroying the planet, that has real consequences for myself, for my grandchildren, and for all the people around me. And that particular approach to ethics, that consequences approach, that approach of looking at, well, what's going to happen because of what I do, that's another key way to approach this concept of ethics. Another one's an emphasis on the social context. You act out of conformity or a loyalty to the group that you're a part of, to the social context you're in the middle of, or out of a caring for the welfare of others. And so the emphasis on the social context is this concept that how other people are, the fact that they're other people, is something that I should care about their welfare, that simply because they're human, they are worthy of my concern, and my choices are ethical to the extent that what I do shows concern, shows compassion, actually materially affects their lives for the better, that I actually care about them. It's a little bit different from this consequences thing. It's not necessarily so much about, am I fixing their life or something, but am I showing them compassion? Am I showing them concern? Am I showing them love? Conformity or loyalty to the group falls into this concept of, am I supporting the group of people I'm a part of? Am I supporting my friend group? Am I supporting my family group? Am I supporting my religious group? Am I conforming to my culture? All of those things fit under this concept of an emphasis on social context. There are some key schools of thought. The first one is deontology. I talked about obligations and duties. Deontology is the field of ethics that says that is most important. It's the approach to ethics that says that's most important. Utilitarianism is the one that deals with this idea of consequences. Specifically, that the best thing to do, that the right thing to do, is what brings the greatest good and happiness to the largest number of people. It's this idea that you ought to be doing that. The great debate within it comes in, do we achieve this by act evaluation, or do we achieve this by making rules that in general cause the greatest number of people to have the greatest amount of happiness? And that's where the pretty live debate is on that. Everybody's like, yeah, we should help people. That's good. But the question of rules versus individual acts being the only way we determine what's utilitarian good,